Here's a quick demonstration of the patch that I submitted to Patch Deck called cross-modulated LFOs. So the two LFOs I'm using are both Danny Sound EN129s. Each of these is in LFO mode, and the pulse output is triggering the sample input on one of these sample and holds here. I've got two sample and holds, one for each LFO. So this one is triggering the top one, this one's triggering the bottom one. The bottom one, the output is going to the FM or the rate input of the one that's triggering it, and likewise for this one. But the input to the sample and holds, if you look at the card, comes from, in this case, the triangle wave of the other LFO. So what's happening is each cycle, the LFO gets a new voltage controlling its rate. And what it's sampling is based on what's happening on the other LFO. So they're cross-modulating. Now, to make this patch listenable, I've set up two resonators. This is a Blue Lantern modules resonator, which is based on mutable instruments rings. And this is the mutable instruments braids in pluck mode, so I'm getting a similar sound on each one. So each time we get a new sample, we're going to also trigger a change. We're basically going to trigger off a note, so we'll get a sequence of notes. So now I'm going to turn up the level. This is just my level control here. The one thing I want to point out is that this patch is not random. It's basically going to generate patterns. And you can control manually the depth of modulation of in each LFO. And you can also control the initial LFO rate. I'm going to play a little bit with the LFO rates so you can see some of the simple changes you can make. Now, what you get out of this, you get 3 voltages out of each side. So you get a trigger pulse that you can use for something besides the sample and hold, for example, for an envelope generator. You get, depending on the LFO you use, you get various waveform outputs that you can use other places in the patch. And finally, you get the sample and hold output, which you can use in other places. In this case, I'm using the sample and hold outputs to both modulate the LFO and also the pitch of the resonators. So now I'll play with this a little bit. Now I'm just going to play a little bit with the depth of FM on the resonators. So that's just a simple demonstration of how using two LFOs and two sample and holds you can generate kind of interesting patterns and apply them to other parts of your patch.